Thank you, everybody, so much for your patience. I don't know what was going on with Teams this morning, but we seem to have resolved it now. So hopefully you can all hear me. I'm Simon Turner, obviously from National Highways Driving for Better Business programme. I'd like to welcome you to this Project Edward webinar, which we're presenting in partnership with National Highways. It's to celebrate 10 years of Operation Tramline, National Highways' pioneering road safety initiative. And over the past decade, unmarked HGV cabs have patrolled alongside 35 police forces and recorded more than 56,000 dangerous driving offences. We're going to play a presentation about Op Tramline, including insights from some of our guest presenters. And we recorded this a couple of weeks ago at Road Transport Expo. That's going to last just under 40 minutes, and then we'll be doing a live Q&A with some of those guests who are featured in the film at the end. Our guests for the Q&A include Rich Frost, who's Road Safety Policy Advisor for National Highways and the person who manages Operation Tramline. We've got transport consultants Amanda Duffy and Sammy Bowler, and we're hoping to have Sergeant Dan Pascoe from Surrey Roads Policing, but they're actually running Tramline this week and he might not be able to get to us. We're recording the whole session, including the Q&A session, and as James said, the recording will be available hopefully in the next day or two. So if you do have to leave before the end, you will be able to see a recording and the Q&A once we've got that online, and that will be at the Project Edward website, projectedward.org. If you've got any questions about Tramline or for our guests, pop them in the chat during the film and we'll monitor them, and I'll put them to our guests at the end. So without further ado, here's our presentation on Operation Tramline.
Welcome to this Project Edward webinar. We're at the Road Transport exhibition to take a detailed look at Operation Tramline. It's an initiative from National Highways that celebrates its 10th anniversary this year, and it's all about tackling risky driving on the strategic road network.
Using unmarked HGV cabs equipped with cameras, police officers have gained a unique vantage point to observe and record risky behaviour that would most likely otherwise go undetected. Since its inception in 2015, Operation Tramline has involved 35 police forces, clocked more than 13,000 hours of patrols, and recorded more than 50,000 offences, ranging from mobile phone use and seatbelt violations to startling incidents such as drivers eating full meals, applying makeup, or even steering with their elbows. But the operation's impact extends beyond enforcement by raising awareness, encouraging compliance, and fostering collaboration between law enforcement and the logistics industry. Tramline has become a cornerstone of road safety strategy.
With me are Richard Frost from National Highways and Sergeant Dan Pascoe from Surrey Police. And we're going to hopefully find out lots about Op Tramline in the next few minutes. So let's start with you, Richard. Tell us what you do then. What's your role with Tramline?
So I'm a project manager basically for National Highways, and this is one of the projects that I manage, which is Operation Tramline, which is obviously now in its 10th year. So I sort of manage the project with this in collaboration with the police forces across the country.
So it's been going 10 years. You were in Staffordshire Police or the Central Motorway Police Group 10 years ago. Do you remember Tramline coming onto the horizon for you?
Yeah, so when I was I worked Central Motorway Police, and I did a number of duties on Operation Tramline. So I see the benefits from sort of the policing point of view, and obviously now since I've come over to National Highways, I see the benefits of it from a National Highways point of view and from more sort of from a different perspective.
Talking of perspectives, let's find out a little bit more about the perspective of the driver of the truck, because Sergeant Dan Pascoe is up there with us. You can come down in a minute, but just tell us a little bit about Tramline from your point of view, because you've been involved since the very beginning. So go right back and kick it off.
So right at the very start was actually Hampshire Police who came up with the concept very originally, and that was kind of sold to National Highways to take nationally. And then we were the first pilot force in Surrey to take it on a national level for them and try and iron out the issues and the challenges that it presents. And we've been involved every year since. And as a PC, I remember doing the first one, and now I run it for both Surrey and Sussex Police as a skipper.
What was the very first offence that you identified?
It's always going to be a phone. When we're on Tramline, it's a very phone-heavy offence. operation that we run, especially in Surrey and Sussex. It's one of the key things that we focus on. But as a result, we find a huge number of drink and drug drivers, disqualified drivers, uninsured drivers, vehicles that shouldn't be on the road through construction and use offences. So it really does cover a large proportion, but we really do focus on that distracted driving element.
Right, now I was going to say jump down and talk to us, but would you compliantly dismount from your truck, please, using the 3-point system?
There we go.
Good. Right, nice and safe. We're not going to get any criticism from anywhere. That was well
Bring my
done.
parachute next time.
Richard, let's talk about the relationship between the police and National Highways, and how does that work these days, and what do you need to do to ensure that it works well?
I think from a National Highways perspective, it's just making sure we're sort of linking in with all the police forces regularly. I mean, we've got staff on, like regional staff, who work quite closely with different forces across the country to make sure the relationship that we've got is a strong relationship. Obviously, the forces are renting out the vehicle as and when they want to. Is it 4 times a year?
4 times. You can take it for a 5th.
Yeah, so
if you can squeeze the diary.
If you're really lucky. So it's just making sure we're working in with the police forces, making sure they get in the vehicle when they want to, when they've got maybe decent operations that they can be running. So yeah, it's just making sure that the relationship is building all the time with them.
Is there a typical week, a sort of template that you offer them? Is it to do this on Monday through till Friday, or?
No, not at all. I mean, ultimately, the professionals, they know the job better than anybody. It offers there's different patrol strategies that can be used with it, and different forces use it in different ways. Like I say, I spoke to Dan earlier on about the sort of benefits of having it marked up against the benefits of it being unmarked. Some forces like the idea, other forces don't, because it gives them different opportunity to sort of engage with people.
Let's talk about a typical day then, for Tramline, for the truck in Surrey and Sussex combined, or is it just?
That's correct. So we do a patrol day in Sussex, and the majority, because Surrey's got some of the largest motorway network for the police, but then also the busiest section. So we cover for the M25 at junction 6 all the way around to Heathrow at 14, and then bits of the M23 and bits of the M3. So we mainly focus our patrol on the M25 area. What's nice about that is because it is so busy, generally the traffic moves at sort of 40 to 50 miles an hour, which we find is the ideal operating window for the truck to blend in really well with, along with the rest of the traffic. But we also find that it's just easier to capture really, really good evidence when we're travelling at that slightly slower speed rather than up at sort of 70, and we all know that people could push it a little bit beyond that as well, but that's difficult to get the video evidence for. So that sort of slower moving traffic is ideal for us. We've got the added complication at the moment of the huge junction improvement works around junction 10, but equally now, when we've run Tramline for the last couple of years, whilst that project's going on, we're operating within the roadworks as well, keeping the road workers safe from people who are distracted or drug driving at the same time, because the last thing any of us want is a vehicle entering the roadworks unplanned and causing an injury that way. So by working with National Highways, not only are we looking after their general network, but then also looking after the big infrastructure projects that's going on in their area.
Time to turn our attention to a good compilation of Tramline clips, which have been put together with the assistance of forces from around the country and with National Highways.
It is in his hand, thumb interacting with the screen. Right hand, right thumb, both hands holding it now, but it's always right. Now you've got both thumbs interacting if he's writing a text. Still today. And he's pulling away with both hands off the steering wheel. Yep, there it is. It's not a text, just wait for the text to come in. And reading a text now, she's taking the right hand off, she's writing a text. Oh, iPad, come in, I'll phone you now.
Yeah, mobile phone held, both hands to the 6 o'clock position, screen illuminated, both thumbs held aloft above the screen, tapping away with the right thumb. Still tapping away. Yep, we've got it all if you want to light them up and we'll see the reaction.
So he ran to the near side, Bloke's having his McDonald's and he's got no hands on the steering wheel, he's steering with his knee.
Okay, got a chap here, he's texting, both hands, he's got no seatbelt on. Renault lane 1, mate is holding a phone, it's on video, talking to phone, she's holding it in her right hand. Face.
No seatbelts.
Yep.
Middle finger as well.
Turn it down to 34, mate, please. Not a van driver, just having his breakfast while driving at 75 mile an hour.
He's got his hands, both of them, into a pouch of tobacco, and he's just starting to roll a cigarette whilst driving. Not in proper control.
Car near side, lady's putting her makeup on while she's trying to drive. So near side, trying to put her blusher on while she's trying to drive.
Still got it, still texting. And he's actually making a payment with his card.
On his phone, everything.
Yeah, I've got him. He's moving across to the hard shoulder again, as can be seen. He's on the phone, yeah. It's in the... Oh, here he comes. For goody hell.
Whiskey, Charlie, all over. Clearly not concentrating.
Onto the hard shoulder. Not sure what the person's doing.
Off phone.
You on phone? Yeah. Keep it there. He's on WhatsApp. He's just putting his phone down. Just put it there. It was WhatsApp. I could see the screen. Here he is. It's resting on the other side. They just have torn up straps. I don't like it. Call it up, Walker. Yeah. There's some holes in them.
There's no holes in the strap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not doing that, mate.
And he's on his phone. Lovely trips around here, so all the little traps around the back. And no seatbelt.
And we'll have a second compilation of clips very shortly, so stay tuned for those. But meanwhile, let's continue our conversation with Richard Frost from National Highways and Sergeant Dan Pascoe from Surrey Police. Richard, we heard a lot about phones there from Sergeant Pascoe.
Yep.
What other things are worth looking out for there? You've got some statistics, I think.
I have got some statistics. Yeah, I'll go through some of those. I mean, Dan's picked up on the point earlier on. It covers a wide range of offences. The three biggest offences. There's seatbelt is the largest offender, and there's 15,599 offences that have been picked up in the 10 years. Mobile phone comes a close second, with 4,549 offences, and then the construction and use offences, there's 4,755 of those offences that have been sort of picked up over the 10 years. And then when we look at the amount of vehicles that we've actually stopped, there's 50,516 vehicles that have been stopped. There's 56,128 interventions, so that could be anything from the police sort of giving drivers words of advice about something to arrest for maybe, like you say, drink and drugs offences. And there's been 55,057 offences that have been identified throughout the 10 years. So it's obviously, you just look at the statistics there, there's definitely a need for an operation like this, and it's identifying offences every single day.
Sergeant Pascoe, just tell us how the tramline truck will work with other resources, because I assume you don't pull vehicles in using the truck at the side of the motorway.
No, so the truck we use, obviously this is here on the stand today. We use an unmarked truck, and then behind that is a group of unmarked cars, ranging from 3 to 8 is the most we've ever had, sometimes with some unmarked police bikes involved as well. And that's all directed from the cab, from the observer's seat. So the driver's there to drive and help point out some offences because of their viewing position. But then we have the passenger as well, who's another police officer with a video camera, who captures the evidence and then radios the cars behind. And then the cars will move forward and intercept the offence that's there. And yeah, whether it's cars or bikes, it works really well from that side. The really positive side of it as well is it becomes a dedicated resource onto the motorway network for the days that we operate. So just by our physical presence of being there, you know, people drive past the unmarked cars with stopped subjects along the way. You know, it only takes them to pass 2 or 3 before they suddenly realise that there's something going on, and therefore hopefully we change their behaviour for a longer distance than just seeing one marked car at the side of the road, for example. Which we know research shows that I think it's about 5 miles a marked car will affect people's driving behaviour for. But seeing numerous sets of unmarked police cars stop dealing with members of the public, hopefully that's having a much larger deterrent further down the road.
Richard, 56,000 interactions or interventions or whatever. So of those, how many friends have you made and how many enemies have you made?
You know what, out of the 56,000, we've probably made 56,000 friends, because ultimately, I suppose the benefit of this operation is it's saving people's lives. So we've probably doubled the amount of friends we've made than the enemies.
Let's consider, though, there are kind of social media posts that not shall we say, not 100% favourable to what Tramline's doing. How do you engage with the naysayers and the people who don't like what you're doing?
The thing is with the police, the police are never going to be everybody's friends, right? In operations like this, it's gonna stir discussion. It's gonna cause upset. Certainly if you feel like you've been targeted, so to speak. But for me, that's a good thing, because it gets people talking. You know what I mean? It gets people talking about road safety that maybe wouldn't talk about road safety in any other capacity. We've just got to make sure we keep hammering home about this. Ultimately, we're here in National Highways, submitting like with the cab. The police are running it on a daily basis. We're only doing it to try and make the roads safer for the public to actually drive on.
In Surrey and Sussex, I'm sure that as well as the direct interactions that you have with members of the public, there's a huge media interest. I mean, in terms of engagement, it's a fantastic tool, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's key. So we obviously, you've seen some of the video clips today. We make a point of publicising that. We've done it in various different guises over the years, from literally when Twitter was much more popular than it is now. We would almost live tweet as we were going, with very quickly edited photos to blank out faces and number plates, and that was almost within sort of 10-15 minutes of the offence happening, we were getting the message out there. And so for that week, you could really see that intensification over social media platforms. Now we move more to sort of an end of week enforcement roundup video, as well as some during the week sort of dotted around, but we don't want to give the game away too much as to where we're operating. But you know, that side of stuff is really important, and you know, it gains interest from local radio and from local TV. That gets that message further. And as Richard was saying earlier, like the important bit is that we change some culture about why people are driving whether it's distracted driving, whether they're drug driving or driving a vehicle in a poor condition. So we need to have a culture change on that to change people's offending behaviour. And as a result, the collision statistics will go down. On average, 5 people die on UK roads every single day. If they were domestic related murders, there would be some significant headlines around those numbers. We're very fortunate those domestic related murders are significantly fewer than that. But we, as a country, we seem to have become rather complacent in the fact that 5 people die every single day on UK roads and hundreds more are really seriously injured. And we need to find a way to change that. We're a fairly safe country in international scope of things for road safety, but you know, we can always do better. Let's get that number down to 4 as an average, and then let's get it down to 3 and get it down to 2. And hopefully with some self-driving, we might even get one day down to a 0 number. But that's a long way off, and I'd have retired and be hopefully sitting on a beach by then. But you know, we still and going back to Richard's point about seatbelts, 11% of our fatal accidents in Surrey are down to people simply not wearing a seatbelt. And you know, the knock-on effect, whether it's their family or their friends, but also the economic cost, the issues that causes having the road closed for the number of hours it takes to investigate, but also just the emotional harm it does to our officers, our paramedics, our first responders, and the friends and family that may have witnessed it or have to suffer the consequences after.
Sergeant Dan Pascoe, thank you very much, and Richard Frost from National Highways, thank you as well. Let's take a look at our second compilation of Op Tramline video clips gathered from forces around the country, and then we'll find out a little bit more about the relationship between Tramline and the logistics industry.
Okay, just past the slips, just going past you. So this on the dash near side, you got a phone with a white case, white cable attached to it in his dashboard, and there is a film or something being played, and he keeps popping down looking at it. Mobile phone left hand, and he'll probably explain why he can't drive it straight. He's just put it down. He hasn't clocked it yet.
On phone. Yeah. Keep it there.
On this leash.
He's on WhatsApp.
On WhatsApp.
He's just putting his phone down.
There we go, on the phone, mate. Daz, we've got a little silver vehicle to our near side. He's scrolling through. He's got his phone in his right hand, mate. Right hand. Yeah, he's on his mobile phone, mate. He's got it, he's driving with no hands actually at the moment. Doing very well.
Another compilation of clips there from police forces around the country, assisted by National Highways. And that brings us to an opportunity to find out a little bit more about the relationship between National Highways, Tramline and the logistics industry. And I have two experts to help me explore that relationship. And they're going to introduce themselves. Over to you, ladies.
My name is Sammy Bowler and I'm a transport consultant from the Northwest in Stockport. My name's Amanda Duffy. I'm founder of Duffy Logistics and I'm also a transport consultant in the Southwest.
Let's talk first of all, Amanda, about your perception of Tramline then. What does it mean to you? How interesting is it? How important is it?
Yeah, I can't believe it's been 10 years, first of all, but anything that promotes road safety is always good in my eyes. It's received well from drivers and anyone else that knows about the scheme. Just because, again, it's reducing road risk and it acts as a deterrent. So once drivers know that this is out there and it's another sort of set of eyes on them, it does act as a deterrent for them to perform and drive in the way that they should be to be safe.
Sammy, what's your relationship with Tramline?
I think very similar to what Amanda said. It's good for the industry. There's a lot of distractions for the drivers. So it's a second set of eyes when we can't see day in and day out what they're doing. It's the second set of eyes, I guess, to keep them on the straight and narrow.
What role has Tramline had in influencing kind of training programs for fleets?
I would say it's probably influenced the way the driver CPC has improved over the years. Trying to get drivers on board with training that has been difficult for some time with driver CPC, but it's trying to encourage them to understand the safety features behind it to try and help them be a better driver and more professional on the road and not get distracted with all the technology that is that they have to manage throughout the day.
Amanda, let's talk about like the gold standards of good practice in the industry. Give me some examples. You don't have to name anyone particularly, but the sort of really good things that are happening that are helping to keep drivers and those around them safe.
I think any kind of initiatives or road safety campaigns, Project Edward would be one of them. Various different campaigns that are going across the industry is always helpful. There was also the PING campaign that National Highways was doing as well. That was brilliant. It's a shame to see that it's not still going. But any kind of initiatives that anyone is doing out there is always welcome to the industry.
I don't drive a truck. I can imagine it's getting more and more high tech. There's an awful lot going on. Just talk to me about the workload of a driver on a long.
Yeah, I mean, I think with all the requirements now going into London, you've got direct vision standards. So again, that's more equipment in the vehicles. It's another distraction potentially to drivers. There's also just their day-to-day life. You know, it's not just what's going on in the cab, it's what's going on in their mind. There's fatigue, there's everything that's going on outside of that. If they've got security and safety in their jobs. So there's a lot for them to take on board, but hopefully technology is helping them to reduce road risk. So again, it's an educational piece from drivers that if they are deemed to be doing something that they shouldn't be when they're driving, it's that piece of getting them in, and then it's then sharing that wider to the wider drivers so that everyone else is aware. So-and-so's just been caught for eating an apple whilst he was driving, or it might have been that vaping, it might have been not wearing a seatbelt, it could be a number of things. But again, it's an educational journey that you're taking them on, and that reminder, everywhere is full of drive-throughs for coffees and food and everything else. So it's that reminder to them that although all of these things are there to tempt you, you still need to remain in control of your vehicle when you're driving at the end of the day.
Sammy, I suppose there will be some drivers who just feel that everyone's out to get them, including Tramline. How do we address that and overcome that?
It's about supporting them about how dangerous it is, the vehicles that they're driving. I mean, some of the trucks that I look after are heavy haulage trucks and quite specialist industries. So the equipment they're transporting can be deadly if it's involved in an incident. So it's trying to reinforce that about it's other road users as well when they're putting themselves in dangerous positions. A lot of the time they aren't aware of how dangerous it is when they are jumping in the braking zone. So making sure the driver is as alert as possible and not distracted in any little way. Just reinforcing that really and supporting them through that.
I suppose what would be quite helpful would be to get a message from you to car drivers. Just, are there 3 things that a car driver could do that would just help in sharing the road space with someone who's driving a very large truck?
The new National Highways campaign is great for that. Do you remember? Know Your Zones, yeah. I've watched it a few times with the driver CPC training that I do. And I think it's really good because car drivers do get daydreamy and they're just sat slow, and then the lorry will come up the side of them, and they don't realise how dangerous it is when they're undertaking or sat in that zone. So yeah, it's educating other road users about the dangers as well, but trying to keep our drivers as professional and switched on as possible.
Amanda, how can fleet managers support their drivers if there are issues of compliance or law breaking, speed or seatbelt compliance, that sort of thing? What's the most effective approach?
I think it all starts at their driver induction initially. You're setting a level, you're setting a standard from day one when they join you as a business as to what your expectations are. And I think in that induction, I use a lot of videos in mine. So the site safety campaign that I worked on the end of last year with National Highways, and just various different things that I might have come across in time, and just using that as a resource. And it's just that reminder constantly to drivers, although they might have had an incident where they've reversed and hit into a post or furniture within a site, it's reminding them that that could be a person, and sometimes that is what brings it home to them. So I do think driver training and induction, and just having that real open door policy with them, but also having your policies and processes in place, making sure that they've signed their driver handbook so they know exactly what is expected of them from day one.
There we are. You've heard it from Sammy, you've heard it from Amanda. We all have the responsibility, but we all have the opportunity. Thank you to Sammy Bowler and Amanda Duffy for their contributions. We'll be back for a final chat with Richard Frost from National Highways and Sergeant Dan Pascoe from Surrey Police in just a moment. Taking us there, our final selection of Tramline clips for you.
As your wife's texting. Where's your... Oh, he's on our shoulder, isn't he? Stay as you are, stay as you are. Keep going. Yeah, it's taking off handbar.
Another compilation of clips from Tramline from around the country. It's time now to do some summing up before we hand back to Simon Turner. 10 years from now, what's Tramline going to be doing then, Richard Frost? What are the long-term plans? What can it achieve?
Hopefully, we see a massive reduction in some of the dangerous driving behaviours that are currently being exhibited on the roads. I think there's certainly longevity in the operation. I think it'll still be going. Fingers crossed, there's more technology that we sort of can use within the cabs that give the police opportunity to sort of catch maybe different offences or highlight different offences for them. And I just think continued collaboration with the police forces and good sort of close partnerships.
From your perspective, what's exciting in terms of the technology that's coming? I'm thinking of AI particularly.
Hopefully AI will help with our redaction side of things to make court processes easier, which means it frees up cops more time. But for us, the big thing is high quality video evidence for the op is kind of key to us. helps massively with the process through court. A lot of the time we get an early guilty plea when there's high quality video evidence behind it. So that side of it's really key. But for my future, hopefully we're looking at a reduction in the number of offences that we're starting to detect. We've certainly seen that, and one of the real positives is we've definitely seen that in both UK and foreign registered lorries. From when I first started, we would see them every single day, all of the time. Now our primary offender is the car and van driver, and lorry offences for distraction offences is thankfully becoming fewer and fewer. So there's a definite success story behind Tramline on that side, but we need to keep that momentum going. It's really good to see some of the other exhibitors here that we've seen where they've got some AI tools that will self-monitor the drivers in their own trucks, which, you know, this needs a bit of a buy-in from industry as well as from the police and from National Highways. It's down to everyone to solve the problem. And if fleet operators can introduce that technology into their cab, which means they don't meet me at the side of the road, then, you know, their vehicle will be on the move for longer. They will retain their drivers, because a lot of drivers will end up either losing their license or meeting a threshold for insurance companies where they can't drive the trucks anymore. And that's, you know, we need to all work together to hopefully come up with a solution for this.
Well, Sergeant Dan Pascoe, Richard Frost, thank you so much. Thanks also to Sammy Bowler and Amanda Duffy for their contributions. That's it now from the Road Transport exhibition. I'm going to hand you back to Simon Turner, who's been monitoring the chat function and hopefully has some questions and comments to deal with. But for now, from here, it's goodbye.
Thank you very much, James. And we do indeed have a lot of questions on the chat. Who do we have on the call? We've got Rich, Amanda, and Sammy. Are you all on? I'm assuming we don't have Dan.
You've got me, Simon. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you, Richard. Amanda, Sammy, are you both there?
Yes, I'm also here.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Amanda. Sammy, I can't. You might be on mute. You should be able to unmute. If not, no problems. All right. Well, hopefully Sammy is there. But Richard, if I can start with you. Someone obviously pointed out.
I am here.
Oh, hi, Sammy. You can hear you. Richard, we're going to start with you. Someone's put in the chat that obviously operating a truck without a trailer, just a tractor unit on its own, is quite unusual. Does that not make it stand out? Why do so many people not see?
I think the biggest thing, firstly, Simon, it isn't a sneaky operation. You know what I mean? We're not trying to sneak below the radar and sneak up on people. Yes, being a plain cab does have its benefits in terms of like policing strategy, etc. But it isn't intended to be a sneaky op at all. And obviously with the added trailer, we've got it's de-restricted, the cab is, so that would probably cause complications for the police whilst they're driving it. I did actually have a conversation with one of the sergeants who turned up at the RTX on Wednesday last week. They're looking at trying to get a trailer sort of marked up as an advertising feature for when they do engagement activity, when they have the cab out. So there is opportunity for it, but not for actual patrol.
And you kind of alluded to it there, but someone also asked if it was restricted to 56 miles per hour, the same as other trucks.
Yeah, it isn't restricted now.
Fantastic. Amanda, if I can come to you then, how many of your clients are aware of Operation Tramline? I think Sammy mentioned in the video that driver CPC references it. Is it something that you have to sort of demonstrate that it does actually exist and they need to worry about it, or is there a good level of awareness anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I communicate it to any of the operators that I work alongside, and then I'll share it with all the drivers as well, just so that they are aware there is another set of eyes and ears out there as transport managers and consultants and planners and everything else. It's not possible for everyone to see everything that's going on all the time. But this Operation Tramline really does reduce road risk. We've heard it by the statistics of the number of vehicles that have been stopped and offences that have been recorded. So think it's positive. But yes, I share it with as many people as I can.
And Sammy, you mentioned about obviously it's included in driver CPC. When you're talking to your clients, have you seen measurable improvements in safety culture or policies with the training that you provide?
I mean, I try. There is a lot of pushback about it because they think they are. They think there's enough technology out there. There's enough enforcement against them all the time. The job is harder and harder as a lorry driver. But I think as long as a transport manager, I try and encourage it as it is a positive thing. They are enforcing it against vans and cars, and they are the lorry driver. They are the worst people to be driving around. I find it myself when I was a lorry driver out on the road every day. So I just try and really reinforce it about it is there to support them, to enforce it around everybody else as well. And I think it's just the attitude that you have as a manager to try and influence positively the people that you are looking after and the people you're working alongside, to see it as a positive and not as a negative. So I think it all depends on how you are embracing it yourself, and it's sort of a bit infectious. And I like to think the people that I work with, I have this infectious sort of personality where I do try and reinforce it in a positive way, and hopefully that reflects that with my drivers.
Yeah, hopefully, it's all about raising awareness, isn't it, amongst fleet drivers. Richard, there's a common sort of perception, I guess, that it's mainly targeting HGV drivers, but we saw from the clips a wide range of trucks and vans and cars, and it was obvious from some of the cars that they were driving for work as well. There were people in suits and people with work equipment and stuff on the back seats. What sort of proportion of each vehicle type do you sort of stop?
So, like you say, Simon, it certainly isn't anything that's targeting HGV drivers at all. Yes, it gives us that elevated platform to look into all sorts of different vehicles. I think the general breakdown, it's about 40% of HGVs that have been caught, and then we've got 30% of both cars and vans. So it's a pretty even spread, really.
And you know, I mean, it did seem from that obviously sort of 40-30 cars, trucks and vans, and then a proportion of the cars themselves are driving for work. That's a huge proportion of those who are actually driving for work. So this is a message that really needs to get out to fleet and transport managers, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Like I say, it's here to making the roads much safer, whether you're driving for work or whether you're driving for your own personal gain, so to speak. Then it's important that we make sure we're sort of safe and not being distracted while we're driving in any way, shape or form.
And Amanda, I guess I'll come back to you about how you sort of approach this with fleets. Rich mentioned in the in one of the interviews, looking at the stats, obviously there's lots of quite interesting offences, shall we say, that get caught on Tramline, from watching films, having their feet on the dashboard and eating dinners, that kind of thing. But the main ones are mobile phones and lack of seatbelts, which are sort of 2 of the fatal 4 or 5, depending on which force you come from. And they're really basic things, aren't they, for fleets to be ensuring their drivers don't fall foul of. So do you ensure that those particular offences are central to what you talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. I do quite a lot of videos on the induction that really homes into those fatal 4. The site campaign Safety is Getting Home Tonight that I worked with the Metropolitan Police and National Highways end of last year, that covers all of those items as well. So I include that in driver inductions. And I think it's also really key that the companies or the operators that I'm working with, it comes from the top. So as long as you've got the buy-in, you know, from the person who owns the business, who's running the business, it then flows down to everybody else. And once they can see that directors and owners of the business are embracing it, it's then very easy to roll out to everybody else.
Sammy, sticking on the mobile phone front, it's very common for business owners or fleet managers or whatever to say, well, we need to be able to contact our drivers all the time. Some of what we saw were clearly people in conversations that could have been with work colleagues or friends or whatever, but equally you get businesses trying to phone their drivers while they're on the road to either reschedule or check where they are. How do you advise your clients on balancing sort of safety and compliance against what they see as their operational need to use phones?
We're very digital based, all of my operators. So as an external, I can manage them anywhere I am, any day of the week. So all the vehicles are tracked. So it's always pushed into the operations team that follow them on the tracker. If you know whereabouts they are, wait until they've parked up, wait until they've got to the job, make sure they've got all the information in advance, and then send them a message when they've got to the job. Send them a message saying, please give me a ring when you've got 5 minutes, I need to run through your next job. Or the technology that we have on these vehicles are second to none, so we are able to manage them from anywhere, and we can keep a track on where they are so that we don't need to be ringing them throughout the day to see where they're up to. So that's the beauty of having all the data and telematics on these vehicles, to prevent us having to keep in touch with them. So yeah, that's just what we enforce there. Try not to answer the phone. We just reinforce, you don't, unless you really need to answer the phone, of which pull over and then take a phone call. The rest of the time it's not necessary. Give us a ring when you've parked up on site, or when you get to the services, and then liaise with the office then.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Richard, the cabs we saw in the clips were unmarked, but the one that you had at RTX was marked up like a police truck. Do you use that on the roads? Are there plans to do more of that?
Yeah, so currently we've got the 3 unmarked cabs that we hire out to the police forces across the country that are used operationally. The one that we've had marked up generally at the minute is looking at for sort of the CV show, the RTX show, and just putting on a stand. It is something that we're looking into because I do think it'll add value. There's a lot of forces who are showing a real interest in that. And again, like I did mention before, it isn't a sneaky operation. So the fact that we're sending a fully liveried truck out on the roads wouldn't cause any concern to me at all.
Yeah, I think it'd be a really interesting exercise, and to see whether that had any impact on all those drivers who couldn't see a white cab pointing a camera into their face.
A big one for me on that, Simon, as well, is like, just think what a great storyteller it is as well. If it shows, if you're a distracted driver, if you're on your mobile phone, regardless of whether it's a blue cab, a white cab, a yellow cab, or a blue and yellow cab that's coming up behind you, you will not see it. And if you're getting caught on your mobile phone or committing other dangerous driving behaviours while you're behind the wheel, and you're getting caught by something like a big massive bumblebee next to you, you know what I mean? It's a great storyteller.
Yeah. Amanda, are there any areas or ways that you feel Operation Tramline could be improved, or the comms around it could be improved, that would help get this message across to transport managers, fleet managers? In anything you could see that would help get that message across?
No, I mean, I think this is a perfect opportunity to anyone that wasn't aware of it. This will obviously be shared on LinkedIn, etc. afterwards, and it will be available on Project Edward's website. So just sharing it as widely as possible, and having these kind of forums where it's an open floor for people to present any questions that they might have is always beneficial.
Yes, Sammy, the same, and also maybe how sort of safety initiatives like this could develop over the next decade to sort of improve that communication as well.
Damn it, sorry. So just the same as what Amanda said, but also sharing more across social media. A lot of my drivers that I spoke to about it were not aware of it, so they haven't come across it. So I think just making it for transport managers to share it with their networks, and then like resharing this and to make as many operations operators, directors aware of the initiatives and why we're doing these campaigns, to try and get them all on board and make it more awareness in the whole industry, is what I would say.
Excellent. We're coming up to the hour, so I've got one final question for you all. Now, Sergeant Dan Pascoe wasn't able to make the Q&A today. As I said, Surrey Police are running the Tramline cab this week. But he did post some stuff on social media yesterday, including a post that they stopped 2 drivers, both for using handheld mobile phones. One who'd been caught for the same offence by Thames Valley Police the previous month, and the other who'd been caught by Surrey themselves during the same op last year. And both of those drivers are now looking at losing their licences. So I think in the 2 days so far, they've made 3 arrests, 13 reports for summons, 10 of which were for mobile phones, and issued tickets for 32 further mobile phone offences. So, you know, it's good that these people are being identified, but you know, there's still so many offences. We've got a lot of fleet managers and transport managers on the call today. What would be your sort of final words of advice for them to ensure their drivers don't get caught by Tramline in the future? Rich, have you come?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, Simon, is just pass the message on. National Highways say it's obviously it's a shared responsibility. Road safety is. So we've got to do everything we can as individuals to sort of spread that message in terms of like the social media, etc. Share it far and wide to make sure everybody's aware of Operation Tramline and that we are trying to actively sort of make the roads safer with operations such as this.
And Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, I think look at the statistics a bit differently. I mean, yes, we're looking at how many offences that this has raised, but how many lives has that saved is another way of looking at it. We need to get the number down to 0. As we heard there's 5 people that die every day on the roads, hundreds more injured, and yeah, it just needs to get down to 0. Collaboration is key, and the more that everyone can work together. None of us want to receive that call that one of our vehicles or drivers have been involved in a fatality or any type of an incident on the road. And we should all have that shared vision and collaborative approach that we bring it down to 0.
Fantastic. Thanks, Amanda. And Sammy, a few final words from yourself?
Yeah, I think the realisation of nobody goes out at the start of the day, gets in the car and intends for someone to not go home that night. So that realisation, I think, reminds them that is why we're forced it. But also a lot of the frustration if drivers do get caught, it's that they've been caught. It's not like they have to remember that they knew that was the law and the legislation. They knew they shouldn't be on the phone. They knew they shouldn't have been distracted. It's trying to get over that hurdle of it's that they've been caught. But that could have, like Amanda said, it could have saved someone's life. Same with what Richard said. It could have saved somebody's life. That the fact that they've been caught before an incident has happened. So reinforcing that is, yeah, I'd second everything what everybody else has said.
Fantastic. Thank you, all 3 of you, for joining us after that. And thank you also for your contributions at RTX for the film that we showed earlier. Really appreciate your time helping with that. So that's all we've got time for. I just want to share a link to presentation and the next webinar that we've got, which hopefully is, oh, sorry, I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I'm trying to get to the next slide on that. Right, it's not working. We'll send out details of the next webinar, which is in about a week's time next week. It's on young drivers and different thinking around young drivers. Now, I know a lot of the people on the audience today are fleet managers and transport managers. It's important not to just assume that young drivers refers to 17-year-olds and teenagers learning to drive. Young drivers includes graduates, apprentices, people who haven't got a lot of experience, but many of those are working in businesses as well. So there should be some good content there for anyone who employs staff who drive for work as well. It's a really interesting webinar.
I've put that in the chat. I've put that in the chat. The link is in the chat. It's 2 p.m. next Tuesday. Protecting young drivers, a new definition. Sorry to interrupt you.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, James. So thank you again for all bearing with us when we had our technical difficulties at the start. There'll be a recording going out in the next day or two. It'll be on the Project Edward website. We'll send out an email when the recording's edited and online. And we'll also send details of that next webinar along with it. So thank you very, very much for attending that. I hope you found it useful, and we'll see you on the next webinar.